Oh my, presenting to you today is an excellent one. Here it is in 9 parts, with every update I could find. Just what you all wanted. The focus is on an eccentric mother-in-law who may be the most outlandish person we've ever covered on the channel. The Wedding Cake Saga, Mother-in-Law in the Wild is the name we've given it. Jump right in. Thus, I am employed part-time by a bakery. Wedding cake design is a specialty of 4 of our employees. As part of my duties, I visit with clients, go over our flavor menu, and show them examples of our previous work, including wedding cakes. They can use this information to get the perfect cake design for their special day. Surprisingly, a couple who were supposed to come in at 8:30 actually showed up at 7:45 this morning. They were accompanied by an elderly woman. Despite the fact that we were already swamped with morning rush, my manager insisted that I attend to them. I therefore approach the happy couple, introduce myself, offer my congratulations, and then proceed with my customary small conversation. I display our flavors, highlight popular choices, and show them examples of cakes we've made in the past. The future bride places the book in her fiancé's hands so that no one else can see it. With a sigh, the elderly woman goes outdoors to light up a cigarette. The happy couple swiftly selects 5 designs they love. The elder woman returns after roughly 20 minutes and inquires about what she had missed. Right as her fiancé shows her the designs they selected, she begins to grumble. "No, that's excessively specific. Nah, I think that one's boring. You need a larger one." The list goes on and on. It was as if I were tuning into a cranky Goldilocks. Inquiring about the number of attendees, I cast my eyes over this woman and approached the bride. Her mother-in-law immediately comes in with a figure that is twice as big as the one she gave me. The bride emphasizes that their wedding will be small and repeats her initial number. After inviting people, the mother-in-law begins to complain that it would be impolite to remove them at this point. All the bride does is shrug. My mother-in-law then confronts me with the bigger figure. Apologies, but the bride has the last say. I inform her. The mother-in-law starts to sigh at that. Well, why did I even bother coming if no one's going to listen? I don't see why you were so adamant about coming. The daughter-in-law says. My son is getting married. The mother-in-law says. Being here is completely within my rights. He's marrying me, the daughter-in-law says gently. Although your contribution is not required, you are welcome to attend the planning workshops. Ask me for it if I desire it. After about to dispute, the mother-in-law simply replies, I need a cigarette, and walks outside to light one. I can't help but be impressed by the daughter-in-law's unwavering determination. Next, the focus shifts to the fiancé, who appears to be trying to vanish into thin air as he stares silently at the floor. She shoots him an icy stare and mutters, "I warned you this would happen." And uncertain what am I supposed to do, escapes his lips. She threatens to snap at her mother if she is not subdued. Despite his obvious fear, the prospective husband musters up the courage to confront his mother outside as if he were charging into combat. Redirecting her attention to me, my daughter-in-law expresses her regret for the scene and wants to know when we may meet with the cake designer and how to sampling. I kindly arrange the appointments on her behalf and bring up the idea of creating a password to ensure that no one can alter the date or cake details without her explicit consent. She thinks it's a good idea and wants me to keep her fiancé from knowing the password. She then departs. It saddens me that she thinks her prospective mother-in-law will try to pry into her affairs, but it also makes me admire her self-assurance. Greetings all. This is Mr. Revenge Online. I hope today is going swimmingly for you. Brace yourself, for some crazy upgrades are on the way. Fasten your seatbelts, get some sweets, and get ready for the first update because I've obtained all the details from OP. Okay, I'll give you the history. The bride and groom are completely accent-free. However, the mother-in-law's accent is quite distinctive and unusual for my region. This is going to be significant shortly. The phone rang when I was tidying up my work area. An employee of mine clarified that a wedding cake was the subject. Since no one else was available to help with wedding cakes that week, I had to take care of it even though I was completely worn out and ready to go home. "Hello, I'm Joy from the bakery. Could you tell me how I might be of service to you?" "Oh, yes, hello," the caller remarked. "My soon-to-be mother-in-law, Fian K, and I went cake shopping and appointment making this past weekend. I would want to propose a few modifications. Please be patient." That accent was familiar to me. It seemed impossible. I thought, no evading me. It was out loud that I said, "Absolutely. May I have your contact information?" "Hello, I'm Laura, and I would like to request a different quantity of cake. The original amount isn't enough. On top of that, she can't recall when she met with the design team, so she'll also need that." "Oh, it's really fine. To disclose your appointment data and make modifications to the cake order, all I need is your passcode." Asking passcode. It slipped my mind. Specify it for me. "I apologize, ma'am, but it is just not possible for me. Your privacy is important to us. Feel free to drop by during our mentioned hours to make changes to your cake order or change your password. Remember to bring your ID with you when you visit." Well, I don't think this helped at all. So long. I told her I was sorry once more and wished her a good night. After that, I made a mental note to flag the call in the daughter-in-law's appointment file so that we would remember to check the ID and passcode the following time. I wrote a message for my boss regarding the matter as well, because I was worried that the mother-in-law would rekindle tensions between her son and daughter-in-law. Edit. My initial priority would be to inform the daughter-in-law about this call. I really do not want to lose my job, so I will wait to ask my boss for permission. That concludes the first update, everyone. Just one day after that, there was update number 2. Please click the subscribe button if you have not already done so. Every Mr. Revenge Online channel features new videos every day, and the most recent one, Office Dramas, offers all the newest news and updates. The description below will provide you with links. We will now go on to the second update. Second update. According to our practice, we are required to follow up within 24 hours if any change requests are unable to be processed. I was instructed by my manager to take care of this as I was the one who helped make the appointment in the first place. I then left a short note for my daughter-in-law to return my call. Within an hour of my call, she had returned it and requested to talk to me privately. "Hello, Joyce here from the bakery. Could you tell me how I might be of service to you?" "Hey there. I received a message requesting that I return the call," she stated. "Yes, sir. Your request to change the cake order yesterday prompted me to follow up with you today. I apologize, but I don't think I was able to assist you since I know you forgot the passcode. Feel free to drop by whenever it needs updating. All you have to do is bring an ID." "Hold on, what came up? Can you please clarify what you mean?" "I had no idea who you were." "Well, we received a call yesterday around this time asking for your next appointment date and a change to the cake size." "You were never my call. Here is my passcode. This is where I save it. Have things altered at all?" "That is the proper passcode, ma'am. It remained unchanged. What would you like to update?" "No way. Please, just wait. Did someone really call about the cake?" "Yes, sir. Your passcode was not with the person who called using your information. No information was altered or divulged. I assure you, the passcode and authorization are necessary for any action to take place." "Well, I believe I can figure out who did this. I would prefer not to make any modifications over the phone. If you would kindly take notice, please do not change my passcode. Going forward, I will be handling everything personally." "Absolutely no problem. Your account will be noted. Can you think of anything else I can do for you?" "No, I'm grateful. Thank you so much. I appreciate you informing me. Farewell for now." After I informed my boss about the conversation, she made sure the account was given top priority and sent a memo outlining the password policy again. Part of her probably wishes the mother-in-law will try something new since she likes drama. Third update, 5 days later. Thus, the following events transpired. 2 bakers called out at the last minute and were already overwhelmed with enormous orders, so we're running short on staff. As a result, I have avoided answering the phone and have spent the entire day working behind the scenes. Our manager won't be arriving until later in the afternoon, so it's just the bakers, 3 counter girls, and me. While making my rounds, dropping off pastries, I overhear someone speaking loudly up front with an accent that I know all too well. It breaks my heart. This is not the time for drama right now. The oven is making a lot of noise, so I can't just stop what I'm doing to listen. One of the counter girls, I'll refer to her as CG, insists that I come over here immediately. Not only is she just 18 years old, but her voice is also very weak. She describes the current situation. The bride's mother-in-law walked in and requested a cake alteration. In an effort to lend a hand, CG checks the account and requests identification. The mother-in-law instructs CG to proceed with the modification despite her claim that she forgot her ID. The mother-in-law becomes irate and demands to speak with the manager after CG says she is unable to. The manager will not be available till later, CG informs her. The mother-in-law is not satisfied with it. She then addresses the other shoppers and rants angrily about our bakery's lack of professionalism and the useless teenagers working here. In an effort to maintain composure, CG offers her a complimentary cake and coffee and requests her nicely not to bother the other customers. However, CG's mother-in-law quickly retaliates, describing him as a stupid brat. At that point, CG leaves the room and comes to locate me. Very well, everyone. People who are disrespectful to workers, particularly a young one, are the worst, and we were already exceedingly busy for today, so I was pretty irate. Having such a conversation with an employee, particularly a child, is unacceptable. As I attended to my mother-in-law, I instructed the counter lady to calm down, contact our boss, and take a break. Side note, I may struggle with confrontations, but I am capable of maintaining my professionalism regardless of my emotional state. This is the flow of the discussion. "Ah, it's me again. Hi, I'm Joyce. It seems like your order is giving you some trouble. Am I of assistance?" Before mentioning her want to alter the wedding cake, the mother-in-law begins to gripe about having to present identification, this unhelpful phone girl, disrespectful brats, and more. There's no need to speak about our adolescent employee like that, ma'am. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause. Allow me to assess my capabilities. This time I spoke a little louder than normal, but still audible to the other customers in the area. With a grumble, my mother-in-law says, "Just fix it." Therefore, I continue to say, "All right," in a loud and clear voice. "Okay, I get it. Without the correct ID and passcode, I am unable to make any adjustments to your flagged order. Then I will gladly lend you a hand if you can supply either of those." Saying, "I don't have an ID," she begins to yell at this point. My passcode slipped my mind. What a useless person you are. "All right, ma'am, there's no need to get angry." I add in a calm voice, "I know this is annoying, but I think you know that we need to preserve your privacy by requiring you to enter the passcode. You can reset the passcode with my assistance if you have your ID. No changes will be made to your wedding cake without your explicit consent." After a long display of both anger and embarrassment, she ultimately announced that she would return later. If she preferred to speak with our manager privately, I informed her that he would be available later. She made a couple phone calls while I watched her walk to her car. I instructed the counter girl to inform me if the mother-in-law returned to the house as soon as she returned from her break. Even though her automobile is missing, she still hasn't come back. I will inform you as soon as anything new occurs. My lunch break is almost over and our manager is expected to arrive soon. Fourth update, the following day. Many people have commented wondering why I didn't confront my mother-in-law directly, but instead chose to side with her. We'll explain why now. To begin, we have a procedure in place for just such an emergency. Although I have never dealt with this before, I'm sure it's not the first time someone has attempted to modify an order that wasn't actually placed. In addition to enjoying my work, following procedures ensures my safety on the job. 2, if you confront her, she may attempt again, but with an impartial third party who isn't privy to her problems. I didn't want anyone else to have to go through what she had done to an adolescent. She can dig her own hole, if you would ask me. Thirdly, I was concerned that she would make a big deal. I won't allow one unpleasant client derail my reputation or the experience of my other customers at this modest bakery. The next part is the update. Not long after I finished my lunch break, my manager showed up. Shortly after I contacted the daughter-in-law per her instructions, the mother-in-law arrived. I contacted the daughter-in-law to clarify the situation while my manager escorted her to her office. I was forthright in my response when she asked me directly if I could identify my mother-in-law's voice. After inquiring about the time my manager and I would be off, she announced her intention to come in. My mother-in-law and my manager were still in the office when my daughter-in-law and her fiancé showed in. Before informing my management of their arrival, I procured hot cocoa and pastries for the fiancé and daughter-in-law, who appeared enraged and overwhelmed. I was asked by my manager to return them and the counter girl who had previously dealt with the mother-in-law. We were joined by the daughter-in-law, her fiancé, and the counter girl as we entered. Upon her son's entrance, the mother-in-law's smug expression turned ghostly white. "Mom, what brings you to this place?" he said. A new language began to flow out of the mother-in-law's mouth. "Mom, speak English," he interrupted. "You are aware that the daughter-in-law is unable to comprehend that language. It's impolite. I don't understand why you're even here." She only wanted to clarify anything regarding the cake, and the girls were completely unhelpful. She said, "Consider visiting a different bakery." What a horrible place. Truthfully, Joyce and the counter lady were according to the regulations. The manager clarified, "You flat out refused to give us with an ID or passcode, even after we indicated that these were necessary for making any adjustments." Instinctively, the daughter-in-law realized that her sister had attempted to alter the cake. "Our desire for a modest ceremony has been repeatedly communicated to you." "You want the little wedding," my mother-in-law said with a snap. "He wants a huge party, my son." "Oh no," he told his mother. "We both wanted a modest ceremony, so we settled on that. Please change the way you address me. I am also deserving of respect." "I apologize, but this isn't the appropriate venue for this conversation," my manager said as she casually cut me off. "Here is the cake size and design information you provided, daughter-in-law and fiancé. Is it correct, in your opinion?" Both of them gave a silent yes. According to her, everything was okay. "Daughter-in-law, I want to emphasize that no changes will be made without your ID. Additionally, I apologize, but we will no longer be using the passcode." As soon as the mother-in-law began to mumble something, the son interrupted and ordered her to stop. With a sad expression on her face, the daughter-in-law expressed her gratitude and apologized for the inconvenience, saying, "Thank you so much." "Oh, it's absolutely not an issue," I responded. "Due to her treatment of our staff, your mother-in-law is henceforth prohibited from attending any of your future appointments, and I am obligated to inform you of this. This place does not welcome her anymore." My mother-in-law got a little teary. In her opinion, it was acceptable. "Mom, stop it," her son insisted. "I know you know better because you taught me to know better." While my in-law's mother-in-law mumbled something in a foreign tongue, Her son informed her in English that she should apologize to us. She collected her belongings, muttered something more in her tongue, and then disappeared. Apologizing for doubting her, the fiancé embraced his soon-to-be daughter-in-law as she appeared nearly tearsy. My boss wanted to know if they needed a moment, but they declined and reiterated their apology for their mother-in-law's actions. Everyone told the counter girl and me to go back to our jobs. Ultimately, the couple appeared to be all right as they departed, and the proprietor graciously granted a 10% discount on their cake as compensation for the inconvenience. No longer may the mother-in-law enter the bakery. When she arrives, we are to politely request that she depart while simultaneously contacting either my management or the authorities, depending on her whereabouts. Section 5. Following a few days. My shifts at the bakery change during the week based on my other employment schedule and the amount of work that needs to be done, but on weekends I work during the day. On occasion, I engage directly with clients. On other occasions, I manage wedding and special event appointments, and on yet other occasions, I merely bake. From 2 in the morning until 7 in the morning, I've been cleaning, preparing, organizing, baking, and so on, because we've been slightly understaffed. I turn off the front lights and lock the doors when I work those early hours. Even if I park on a bright street for safety reasons, no one can see our kitchen lights from anywhere except just in front of the door because they are on the side. Basically, when those times roll around, the bakery appears deserted. Prior to the arrival of the breakfast crowd at approximately 7:00 a.m., it is typically somewhat silent. I chose to disregard the call at 3:00 in the morning. Everyone at work has my number, so if there's an emergency, we just text. We have an excellent answering machine, and my only responsibility is to get everything ready for the morning. At 3:05, 3:10, 3:15, and 3:20, the phone started ringing again. When it rang again at 4:00 a.m., I was already elbow-deep in dough and growing irritated with the continual ringing. Substantiating, I responded, "Here we are at the bakery. Good morning. Joycey talking. Tell me how I might be of service to you." At long last, a well-known voice said, "It's about time. Over an hour has passed since I began phoning. Why are you being so coy? Forget about it. Someone in charge needs to hear me out right this second." In my head, I was thinking, "Oh, that accent," but I resisted the need to label the speaker as such because I was open to the possibility that it was just a coincidence. "I apologize, ma'am, but we are currently closed," I informed her. "No, that's incorrect. Tell me the truth. You're still open." "Yes, we are, and I'm sorry, ma'am. From X to Y, that is our time slot. At that time, someone will be there to assist you." "That is inadequate. Staff members there are awful, unprofessional, and downright nasty. Do something, since I'm in a bind. Could you please tell me who made the cake in my daughter-in-law's name?" "Oh, wow," is what I'm thinking mentally. "Unfortunately, we are currently closed, thus I am unable to assist you with anything, ma'am. Call us again during business hours if you need further assistance." "Oh no, a moment of assistance is required. Tell the truth. Surely you're not closed. Get that door open. Yes, I can make out the lights. Let me tell you something. She would have to lean against our front door, face the glass to see the kitchen light, which is out of the question given my recent anxiety. Having a full-blown panic attack over the issue, I hung up on her after being really anxious and frightened out. As I attempted to collect myself, the phone rang twice more before becoming silent. Both my boss and a male colleague who would be assisting with the opening received my text message. The response from my colleague was a string of emoticons and the word WTF. I was instructed to remain indoors by my manager, who informed me that she was en route. About 20 minutes later, my boss showed there. However, we discovered 22 cigarette butts by the entrance, and no one else was outside. Because I swept the entryway before beginning, we deduced that the mother-in-law had probably been standing outdoors for a considerable amount of time. My boss has instituted a new policy whereby no one is to open or prepare on their own. Every shift should be staffed by a minimum of 3 workers. I didn't hear back from either the owner or the daughter-in-law after she left messages describing what transpired, but I did finish my shift before they did. The 6th update was made 4 days later. The owner had had enough of my mother-in-law's terrifying midnight stalkers outside the bakery. After reporting what had happened, she informed the couple that she would contact the authorities if their mother-in-law returned. The proprietor threatened to contact the authorities if the couple's mother-in-law returned. She offered to return their deposit and added that she would understand if they wanted to change bakeries, but she would not stand for her employees being threatened or mistreated. An apology and a commitment to discuss her mother-in-law's behavior were made by the daughter-in-law. Both she and her fiancé were quite pleased by the level of professionalism and attention given to their cake, so she informed the owner that they had no intention of switching bakeries. Additionally, they wholeheartedly agreed with the owner's decision to contact law enforcement in an emergency. The owner offered to return the deposit again, and although the fiancé was apprehensive at first, he eventually accepted. So I think we can put it that way, can we? Everything is good after the happy couple had a conversation with the mother-in-law, who realizes where she went too far. Not at all. Without a doubt. This is just the beginning. Our mother-in-law has finally given up showing up and is now constantly contacting us since she knows she will face the consequences if she returns. My apologies, but we are no longer able to process modifications of this nature over the phone. This is our new system for handling her calls requesting adjustments. If you require any assistance, do visit us during our work hours. This, however, does not deter her. The subject remains unchanged every time she calls. She informs us of the daughter-in-law's identity and either requests or inquires about the next visit. She continues insisting on speaking with an administrator despite our repeated assurances that we will not divulge the information and her repeated insistence that she must come inside. All this over a cake, and we keep her on hold until she hangs up and then calls again later, attempting the same thing. I intend to provide an update regarding the taste and design appointment as soon as I am able to. I was able to share with the daughter-in-law what I'd written about the situation since my manager gave me the go-ahead. Some readers had suggested I jot down the details on a card, so I did just that and handed it to her with an explanation. I even offered to take down the posts if she felt uncomfortable, but she actually found it funny and enjoyed it. Though her main social media platforms are Tumblr and Pinterest, she said she might give it a try and check this out. So if you're reading this, I hope to welcome you. The 7th update, 3 days later. On Saturday, the daughter-in-law and her fiancé went to a cake tasting with their designer. Right in the middle of it, the mother-in-law called, and the fiancé handed the situation over to his future wife. She got frustrated to the point of tears, so I did my best to console her. When I explained about the thread I was writing, she laughed, saying she told her friends about her mother-in-law's dramatic ways, and they couldn't believe it. I shared the link with her, reassuring her, "We're here for you." She made a funny face and said, while she mostly uses Tumblr and Pinterest, she might also check this out. She even said I could keep writing about it and share more details. Now, a bit about their wedding plans. They're planning a whimsical Alice in Wonderland-themed tea party in a small park for the ceremony and reception. But the mother-in-law insists it should be in her church and has even put down a deposit to reserve a hall. She's invited her own guests, expecting a formal church ceremony. They've chosen a brightly colored cake inspired by Alice in Wonderland, complete with the Mad Hatter and Queen of Hearts as toppers. I've seen the toppers. They're adorable. Although they have only 50 guests, they went with a 60-person cake. Meanwhile, the mother-in-law insists they get a traditional 3-tiered white cake that serves 250. That's right, minus 250 servings. Despite the original guest list of 50, the mother-in-law has added 200 more people. The daughter-in-law tells me her mother-in-law has become overly dramatic since the engagement. Once conventional and restrained, she now regularly drops by unannounced, leaving constant messages. The fiancé, feeling torn between three important women, said, "Mom never had the wedding she wanted," implying his mother should have more say in the planning. The daughter-in-law, giggling, replied that it's her wedding, not her mother-in-law's. She even joked with her fiancé that he should marry his mom if he's that interested in giving her the wedding she wants. The cake designer shared a funny story about her own past experience with a mama's boy, which gave the daughter-in-law a good laugh. She also appreciated her fiancé's growing ability to say no to his mom. That cake will be protected at all costs. At the end of the appointment, the daughter-in-law hugged us as we continued planning flavors and details. I assured her the cake would stay safe. Before leaving, we swapped numbers, and we've been texting since. The fiancé's independence is growing, and it's definitely ruffling some feathers. A bit of context before Update 8. The mother-in-law keeps trying to change the cake or get details about the appointments. She even tried to add 10 loaves of sourdough to the order. Just why? Quick reminder. The mother-in-law is officially not invited to the wedding. The daughter-in-law told her fiancé she wouldn't attend if his mom was there, and he agreed. Now she's hired security to verify guests and accompany the cake delivery. She's even paid for the list herself, ensuring no last-minute changes. So, everyone, if you're interested, you can find Mr. Revenge online at the link provided. Things are definitely heating up, and Update 8 is coming soon. It's a wild one. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet. Here's the 8th update. After a month, it has been a challenging week. I went through a mental breakdown, lost a job, and now my entire apartment smells like fish because my neighbor, for some reason, has taken to frying fish in the corridor. I'm sick with a headache, low on energy, out of Nutella, and broke. In essence, I've hit rock bottom. Had reached my breaking point when my cake-obsessed mother-in-law called once more. I picked up the phone when she called at about 4:00 in the morning today because my coworker was preoccupied. We continued with the same pattern that we've been following throughout the week. She ended the phone, but I answered it again at 9:15. The following discussion followed at approximately 11:00 a.m. "Come on in, it's the bakery." "Good morning, Joycey talking. The question is, how do I—" "Oh, here we go again. Every time someone calls, why do you pick up the phone?" "I am unsure, ma'am." My response was, "I work here," even though my exhaustion made me question whether I had chosen the correct career path. Discover another one for me. I need someone in a position of authority to listen to me. "Excuse me. The boss isn't here, but if you need her tow—" "Be quiet." "No, I'd rather not speak to you, lady." I overheard my adolescent coworker becoming furious on the phone a little later while I was assisting a client. Since this is her first job and she is just 18 years old, she has not yet experienced the rigors of retail labor and is thus unprepared. I suggested that my coworker may ask me to take the call, as I thought she was probably dealing with an irate client. Without saying a word, she ended the call. But after a little while, I overheard her on the phone once more, this time with an angry tone. So I stopped what I was doing to listen. There was nothing she could do, she said, and she apologized again and again. Then our coffee makers were on full blast, and I could make out yelling over the phone from a good distance. Because the girl appeared to be inconsolable, I seized the phone and dealt with the situation independently. "Who is it?" "Crazy mother-in-law, Karen. Of course. I can't believe how disorganized you all are. You guys are terrible. You don't know what good customer service is because you're too preoccupied with your boyfriends or video games. Will you assist me, or should I look elsewhere for a place to do business?" "Oh, ma'am, I think it would actually be best if you did take your business elsewhere." "What did you just say?" "Someplace else. Greetings. I am Joyce. My manager is the person you should speak with, but from this point on, it will be me." "Oh, I'm sure you want my business." "Well, that's not quite right. Not me. I wouldn't say that." "Oh, really? How?" "Show me the other chick. You are an incredibly unpleasant woman. Your treatment of others is unacceptable." Even though I'm normally rather patient, I'd had enough. Instead of being nice as usual, I spoke with conviction. "You need to feel embarrassed, ma'am. I overheard your conversation with her. She's 18 years old. From now on, you should deal with adults only because you're so rude. You'll only be able to communicate with the manager or me going forward." She attempted to counter, but I persisted. "It is not possible to make adjustments over the phone, as you have been informed on multiple occasions. We have implemented this policy for the express purpose of preventing your intended action. I recommend consulting your son and prospective daughter-in-law with any concerns you may have regarding the cake. It's not your cake, it's theirs. Since you are not the client, you are not authorized to modify their order. In a nutshell, do you need my assistance with anything else at this time that has nothing to do with your son's wedding?" After a brief pause, she ended the call. Without delay, I contacted my supervisor and informed her of the situation. I was worried about repercussions, but my boss seemed fine with it. She reassured me that the owner will be informed and that I shouldn't be concerned. To give the daughter-in-law a heads up, I also sent her a short text message. Since her appointment for tastings and designs, we've grown friendly. At least her mother-in-law knows we're aware of her repeated attempts to change the cake now that I apologized to her for yelling at her. I wanted to be sure there wouldn't be any repercussions, so I texted her an apology. In response, she joked that she was annoyed she couldn't attend the event and joked that she might recruit me to be a wedding security guard. For the remainder of my shift, my mother-in-law thankfully did not return my calls. Let me tell you something. This week has been absolutely draining. Nineth update, 5 days later. Listen up, folks. This one is major. Don't message me about violating privacy. I have the daughter-in-law's permission to post this. I let her know I'll be sharing it and even sent her a draft to check before I posted it. All right, let us begin. The nuptials have been canceled. I am aware that the mother-in-law has only called 6 times since I last confronted her. Both times I picked up the phone, she abruptly ended the call. When my coworkers on the other end of the line realized it was her, they immediately hung up. At last, the proprietor of the bakery gave us the go-ahead to end our conversation with her. My daughter-in-law and I became close friends after we tasted the cake. We became close because we both had to deal with this crazy mother-in-law and loved fairy details. She confided in me about the highs and lows of wedding planning, while I kept her apprised of any calls from her mother-in-law. She appeared distressed when she walked into the bakery for coffee a few days ago, so I decided to accompany her during my lunch break. She informed me that her fiancé had been pleading with her to include his mom in the wedding plans and to re-invite her. She sought my counsel, and I did my best to avoid offering a biased response, considering my own troubled past with an ex-boyfriend and his demanding mother. Rather than advising her to bolt, I recommended she consider her relationship goals. I advised her to think about what she was ready to give up or adjust in order to maintain a healthy relationship. She expressed her gratitude, promised to consider it, and promised to have a conversation with her fiancé shortly. An update would be sent, she assured me. Then, not long ago, she called me sobbing. The engagement had been dissolved by her. Her fiancé had been trying to persuade her to allow his parents attend the wedding, while simultaneously informing his mother that she was being overly controlling. She discovered that he had been playing both sides of the argument. He said he wouldn't want to be married if his mom couldn't be there, and she accused him of not comprehending the importance of family to Greek women. Their debate escalated into a heated one. He attempted to retract his statement, claiming he was only bluffing, but she remained firm when she acknowledged that perhaps marriage was a mistake. While he returns to live with his parents, she stays with her sister because their house is in her name. To amend her cake order, the daughter-in-law will be dropping by tomorrow. For some reason, she informed me that she plans to call it a freedom celebration cake. She has extended invitations to all of her friends, including myself, who she had to leave off the original guest list in order to accommodate his family and friends. To accommodate her now larger and more relaxed celebration, she is also raising the cake size. Since the relationship has ended, I'm very confident there won't be any more updates. This is only a tiny gesture to say farewell to her mother-in-law. This is it, drama fans. The story has come to a close. I warned you this tale was crazy. Let's raid through a few of the feedbacks. Somebody asked, what would have happened if the bride had gotten pregnant? Her escape makes me very happy. I shudder to think of the things her ex-mother-in-law might have done to her while she was pregnant, or even worse, during the delivery. Attempting to assert her authority, she would likely be present in the delivery room. Yes, I was also thinking that. Another commenter comments, I have a feeling this mother-in-law will be the subject of another tale in due time. Another voice chimes in saying, well, at least they can ignore all the extra venues she rented for the wedding. So, is this the most outlandish tale about a mother-in-law that the channel has ever run? It may be, in my opinion. Leave a comment with your opinions. I'm interested to hear from everyone. That concludes today's news. Wishing you everyone a fantastic day. Looking forward to seeing you later. Make sure to subscribe to our other channels listed in the description.